Instead of saying fire Benning, why not thank you, Jim? And I guess this time we can ask the question, why not sorry, Jim? Today we are revisiting the Quinn Hughes situation, and I know just a few hours ago we posted a video highlighting some of the hearsay as it pertains to current Minnesota Wild star defenseman Quinn Hughes. Spoiler alert, the guy did not end up signing or getting traded before this video went public on YouTube. Because now we have to dive into what is the Vancouver perspective, and some of the latest from Elliotte Friedman on the Hughes Bowl in Minnesota. Take a look at this. It was posted by Sexy Beavers on the Canucks subreddit. It is a BR Open Ice tweet that talks about how Elliotte Friedman made some comments on his new podcast about Quinn Hughes. Things have gone quiet on the Quinn Hughes extension front recently. He also stated that he would start to be concerned if an extension is not done by the start of the upcoming season. Now, as we had discussed in our video earlier this afternoon, there's a lot of hearsay going around. And believe me, there is even more hearsay than the hearsay that we've made videos about so far that has been going around the block, either on social media, Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, DMs, and whatnot. There are a ton of rumors, and we don't know what to fully believe because nothing is coming from confirmed sources, and the guy just isn't signed yet. Is it a stare down with Cale Makar? Is there genuine desire from Hughes to go to New Jersey? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But as it pertains to Elliotte Friedman, he said he doesn't think there's been a ton of talks recently between Hughes and the Wild. He also did say that he predicted a Quinn extension by the end of July. Now it's August 25th, the guy still remains unsigned. But as it pertains to the Canucks, I wanted to read what this user posted about and what they wrote about as it pertains to Jim Rutherford and whether or not Canucks fans potentially owe Rutherford an apology. Perhaps an unpopular opinion here, and he needed to go regardless as his management style was clearly archaic, but do we owe Jim Rutherford somewhat of an apology? He inherited a team with good to great pieces, supplemented them, and got them to take the Edmonton Oilers to Game 7. Then, Rutherford realized this team hates each other. Zero camaraderie. Their franchise defenseman has no interest in re-signing. And I think it's time to acknowledge that Quinn was leaving regardless. He clearly wants to go out east. Once Rutherford found this out, is it ludicrous to say he helped shove this team to the bottom to expedite the rebuild? Who else has ever sold Francesco Aquilini on a rebuild? He hired Foote. This guy has hired good to great coaches all his life, and I'm supposed to believe he thought Adam was the answer? He didn't add anything to the roster and watched it bottom out. Also got a king's ransom for Quinn Hughes. The team is now set up for the future, while Quinn is about to be on his third team soon. Now, it's interesting because a bunch of the replies in the comment section of this Reddit post don't actually acknowledge the write-up here. Top comment says, "Hey, I'm so glad that Quinn Hughes is not Vancouver's problem anymore. The Hughes bros are just the quiet Kachuk brothers. They're so dramatic. I'm glad it's not your problem, and I'm a Canadiens fan. Screw Quinn Hughes, screw Guerin, and screw the Minnesota Wild." And then there's another reply. Is it ludicrous to say that Rutherford shoved the team to the bottom to expedite the rebuild? That is ludicrous, yes. Some people act as if our management team intended to tank this year. They did not. They were just bad. You just need to look at their off-season moves to know that Rutherford and Alvin had every intention to make the playoffs as a last-ditch effort to keep Hughes. And between the JT Miller trade and the immediate turnaround to making the Marcus Pettersson trade, to the Evander Kane signing, to the inability to actually sell off some meaningful pieces in the year leading up to Quinn Hughes' departure, I think it's very fair to say that Rutherford and Alvin did want to contend and give Quinn Hughes a winning team around him before he decided to leave. Maybe it was inevitable that Quinn was going to leave regardless, but at the same time, I think two things can be true at once. Jim Rutherford and Patrik Allvin messed the Vancouver Canucks up so badly that they had no real choice but to go down the path of a rebuild, and the Quinn Hughes trade was a big signaling that that was going to happen. You also look at some of the other commentary that's been floating around our Canucks lately. There was a question posted out there by Beneficial Meat. How satisfied are you with the return for Hughes now? William, Ogren, Rossi, Novotny. The majority of our Canucks users have said that they're very satisfied. And I have no doubt that Elliotte Friedman's update from earlier today, no actual update on Quinn and the Wild. This isn't really going the path that everybody thought it would be. Friedman saying he's not worried, but at the same time, we have a timeline for when worry can start to set in, maybe a month and a half or so from now. The eventual trade tree from Quinn Hughes is going to be epic. I'm a little more cautious about evaluating the trade early. On the surface, great trade. However, I'd like to see one season of Rossi being healthy. I'd like to see a full season of William showing some positive steps forward. Ogren has already shown some potential, and it would be nice to see that A, continue, or B, get better. And Novotny looks like he could be a potential steal, but at the same time, let's see what he can do before anointing him the next great big deal. So obviously, there are some reservations. I mean, the team did do a good job by trading Quinn Hughes away and accruing that long-term value, but Vancouver had no choice but to make that deal, especially with Minnesota, one of the only teams that was actually willing to bite the bullet and trade for Quinn Hughes back in December 2025. All in all, it's hard to ignore the fact that the Vancouver Canucks that were run by Allvin and Rutherford did have a very successful 23-24. They were incompatible with each other, yet still, Allvin and Rutherford tried to make it work. It's just the ways in which they tried to do that, they didn't work. Straight up. I'm not sure I'm willing to give Jim Rutherford the credit that says, oh yeah, well, he hired Foote, and Foote was terrible, so actually it was a good thing that Rutherford hired Foote. It was a good thing that they didn't add anybody to the roster. They added Evander Kane. That's an addition, you can say. And they also got a king's ransom for Quinn. Yeah, you can't really disagree with that. The team is now set up for the future. I'm not too sure if I'm willing to give Jim Rutherford an apology at this stage right here, but all I'll say is the way the cookie has crumbled, the way the dominoes have fallen, I'd rather have this timeline than see a timeline where Quinn Hughes is still on the Vancouver Canucks, miserable, pouty, not captaining the team properly, and with Rutherford and Allvin still at the top of the ship. I'd rather see the Sedins and Ryan Johnson doing their thing. At least now there is a vision of hope for the future. Francesco Aquilini, you have to live with your failures, man. You tried forcing this team to be competitive the entire time, and they just weren't built for that. Now, we wait even more. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Does Jim Rutherford deserve an apology? I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.